Hey there, and welcome to the UkeStuff channel, and welcome to this full UkeGuide review of this instrument. This is the Aiersi SU-074P Laminate Koa concert ukulele. Now, as a full disclosure, I was sent 4 ukuleles by Aiersi. This is the 4th of those that I only had to pay UPS charges and then some customs charges, ending around $55 total for everything now. And thankfully there has not been any additional bills as I've talked about in the other videos. So yeah, so it wasn't totally free to me, but it was close. And keep that in mind. So as I review this, be aware of that. And also be aware that I do like Aiersi as a company. So with that in mind, I do have a positive overall impression of the company, and that can't help but shine through a little bit. So just do keep that in mind. Now, what we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about some subjective categories, and then we're going to talk about the specifications, and then I'll summarize the instrument and give it a rating out of 5 possible ukuleles. So let's begin. In terms of cost, I'm not sure how much these cost right now. I think they'll be around $159 or less. Because the other models that are similar to it are in that price range of $159 all the way down to $129. I can't find it on Aiersi's website at the moment, but I am sure that by the time that I'm done editing this video and getting it out there, that Aiersi will put this back findable on their website. So generally, let's go to value. The only thing you're probably going to get with this is a very light gig bag. One of my biggest criticisms of Aiersi, and it's a really minor criticism, is that they don't include a better gig bag with their instruments that are really pretty nice overall. There's only been one or a couple Aiersis that I've played that I haven't really thought this was really a decent instrument, and they deserve better protection than generally what they ship with. So you'll want to buy a different gig bag, and if you need any other accessories like a tuner or whatever, generally the Aiersis don't come with that, so you'll have to plan that for yourself too. So that said, the value is very good. You would spend, I'm sure, well into $250 from a lot of companies to get an ukulele similar to this one in terms of quality and features and sound and playability. But that isn't going to be Aiersi's sort of way of operating, MO, at all. It would just, they're very, very focused on providing very affordable instruments with high quality overall, and you wouldn't be disappointed with this one, even though it doesn't have a name brand that maybe you've heard of. And that can, I guess, be the most disconcerting thing. But there have been a couple cases, also like Koa that I've found, Aiersi and Koa in particular, that you may not know the brand so well, but they're putting out really, really nice instruments. So the value is very good. Value could be better with a better gig bag and maybe a couple of accessories, but still really, really good value here for what you're getting. Now the build quality is excellent. On the outside, it's flawless, very well done, very attractive. We'll get to appearance later. The only couple of things in terms of build quality that I noticed is I'm getting some fret creep or fret sprout on my instrument, and that's partially because of where I live. Right now, the temperatures are very low here where I live near Minnesota and Wisconsin, 9 degrees Fahrenheit this morning. So very cold, and when that happens and your house heat is on, the humidity drops and is, well, currently in the current room that I'm in, humidity is under 30%. So even a laminate ukulele, which has a potential solid wood fretboard, is going to experience really fret sprout or fret creep because, again, the fretboard is shrinking. So I don't really consider that a negative towards Aiersi, but it is something that I would need to address. Even though it does have a bound fretboard, I'm still getting the fret creep a little bit. So just do keep that in mind, that if you live in a drier climate, you may experience the same thing. The only other thing with the build quality is that it's, again, a very C-shaped neck, sort of like holding part of a baseball bat. It's less so. I just recently reviewed an Ohana Taro patch that I own, and that is even more of a C shape, so it's a bit less than that, but I would like to see a different contour there. But other than that, it is really, really well put together. Now, one of the things I like to do is take a look at the inside of the ukulele, so let's go do that. All right, let's take a look at the inside of the SU-074P Aiersi. All right, we're gonna go inside and look at the back. There's your pin bridge and your bridge support. You can also see that they tie beads on the string to help keep them there. Looking at the construction there, there's the tail block. Always good to see, so you can add strap buttons. Be nice if the instrument had strap buttons. Very clean on the inside there. See the laminate there. You can see the brace on the back. Yeah, overall very, very cleanly built. Very, very nicely done. There's one of the vertical supports there, and there should be one over there as well. Yep, along with the bridge plate. All right, nice and clean. Let's look at the upper bout. All right, it's tricky to get far enough back here, but looking at the build here, there's the notch kerfing. Very, very cleanly done. See if we can get an angle. Let's see if we can get an angle at the top. There's up at the top. There's your neck block. Yeah, overall very cleanly built. There's some very, very, very minor glue. Very, very minor. All right, and that's our look at the inside of the Aiersi SU-074P Laminate Koa Concert Ukulele. All right, so as you can see in there, really nicely, cleanly built as well. Yes, there are ukuleles that are a little messy on the inside that are still just fine. That's absolutely true. But it does say something about attention to detail when you look at the inside of an ukulele, and it's not a complete mess in there. So very nice, very, very good build. In terms of the appearance, I think this one is gorgeous. Now, I did review the Java Ebony. I think it's the SU-204 from Aiersi. I'll do a comparison between those two and maybe even the Zebrawood one that I was sent, just so you can hear the difference of that at another time. But I think this one's even more attractive than the Java Ebony, which I thought was gorgeous. So this just appeals to me. It's not overdone, has a little bit of bling on the front, but it isn't too much. You've got some great features, pin bridge, you've got a compensated saddle, you've got abalone purfling, as well as some regular stripes of purfling as well. You've got binding on the top and bottom. You've got a bound fretboard. You've got a slightly different sort of diamond cross fretboard markers. You've got sealed gear, Aiersi branded Aiersi tuners, which is really nice. A beautifully done inlay for the Aiersi logo. Side position markers, which you wish would be standard and everything, but it's not. Oh, of course, in an abalone rosette. It's just gorgeous and well done and not too much. And even though I tend to sort of like gloss instruments, this really works for me. This Laminate Koa really, really does. So this is really a gorgeous ukulele. Now, in terms of availability, the only problem here is that the only place to get these is directly from Aiersi, and you have to wait for shipping. So they're not impossible to get. Aiersi can always make more of these if they're not even available at the moment, but the only problem is you have to wait for it. You can't go to your store and just immediately pick it up, and you certainly can't even just order it online at Amazon and have it shipped to you within a couple of days. This is one that you're going to have to wait for. In terms of playability, overall, it's very playable. The action is good. There are the issues with a little bit of fret sprout and sort of a thicker neck. But other than that, it's a pretty standard 35mm nut playing experience. So if you play a concert ukulele or a soprano ukulele and you're used to a 35mm nut, it's pretty much going to be par for the course of what you expect with really good action from the factory. So that's a positive overall. It's playable. It's perfectly playable. Now, in terms of sound, that's where I think this one is not only attractive, but it sounds really good. And my ear is usually attracted towards bright and ringy instruments. This one isn't that. So if I play the C chord, it's warmer. It's warmer and it's not sparkly. and it really appeals to me. I like it. It's a really nice sounding laminate ukulele. Maybe that's the Koa laminate in particular. I don't know. It's possible that laminates have different tonal qualities too, depending on what the laminates are made of. And we just don't know that. We don't know, even if the top layer is a really super thin layer of Koa, we don't know what the other layers are. Maybe it's also Koa. We don't know. But ultimately, it sounds really good. Also, the Aquila Super Nile Guts. Usually I'm not such a big fan of them. Really works here. The Nile Guts just match well with this instrument. I don't think I would change it. The only reason I would change them is if I didn't like the feel of the Super Nile Guts. Otherwise, this overall is really a nice match for sound. There's good sustain, there's good volume. It's a balanced tone even though it's a warmer tone. I really like it. One of the things I do in these reviews is I let you see what I'm hearing. So I'm going to play the C chord into the app Tonal Energy Tuner on my iPad and let you see what the frequency and the harmonic energy does with this instrument. Here we go. And just so you know, the sustain in person is lasting longer than Tonal Energy Tuner is hearing it. And again, the sustain is on that low end. But it is really a balanced sound. All right, now that we've talked about the subjective categories, let's get into the specifications. It is a concert ukulele with a scale length of 14.875 inches. It has 18 frets with 14 to the body. It does have side position markers, and it is a traditional double bout ukulele. So if you were a left-hander, you might want to consider a different saddle because it is a compensated saddle, which we'll get to, but you could string this for left-handed players. The soundboard is laminate Koa, as is the back and sides. The neck is supposed to be mahogany. The fretboard is rosewood, and the bridge is listed as rosewood, but that sort of looks like a walnut to me. So I think the bridge is walnut, and it is a pin bridge, and the fretboard is not radiused, which is kind of what you'd expect at this price point. The nut and saddle are bone, and as I already mentioned, the saddle is compensated. The finish is a matte open pore, but really the open pore is minimal. There's very little open pore action going there at all. I've seen much more porous surfaces. I mean, you can see occasional little dots, but it's sealed up pretty well. The overall length is 24.25 inches, which was a little bit longer than the Java Ebony model, which I would think that they'd be using the same template for. And it weighs 1 pound, 2.5 ounces, which is also a little heavier than the Java Ebony. It's using sealed Aiersi branded geared tuners. The action at the first fret is lower than 0.5 millimeters, and the action at the 12th fret is 2.65 millimeters, which is just perfect. I mean, really a nicely set up instrument. Now, the nut is approaching 35 millimeters, 34.72 millimeters, so round up to 35. And the space between each string at the first fret is 8.45 millimeters, which is 28.42 millimeters G to A. In other words, pretty standard 35 millimeter nut spacing. If you have really large hands, you might not like it. If you're used to 35 millimeter nut spacing, it's exactly what you'd expect. The depth of the neck at the third fret is 21.29 millimeters. So I measure from the top of the strings to the bottom of the neck, and it is a pretty C-shaped, thick profile neck. I'd like to see a different neck on the instrument, or just slightly contoured neck on the instrument. So again, that depth is 21.29 millimeters. All right, now that we've talked about the specifications for the instrument, let's sum it up. Again, I was sent this instrument with 3 others from Aiersi to review and only had to pay some UPS charges and some customs charges as well. Of the 4 ukuleles, this one is my favorite. This is my favorite of the 4 that I was sent, and not only do I think it's the most attractive of the group, although the Java Ebony that I reviewed as well, very, very attractive too. I think it also has the best sound of the 4. and it appeals to me the most. And maybe that's just my own, sort of classic appeal nature to it. But I really do like this instrument a lot. I would like to see a matching bridge to the fretboard. I think that would be a nice touch, so it'd be dark here and dark there as well. I would like to see a different shaped neck, I think. I would like to see some accessories included, and a nice gig bag, and perhaps a tuner and a couple of other things with these instruments at this price point. But at the same time, you get a ton of things, a ton of features here that you just aren't going to get from other companies anywhere close to this price point. So it's attractive, sounds good, plays well for a 35 millimeter nut ukulele. Definitely recommended. The other big negative is that you have to order one and wait for it to arrive from China. I mean, and really, that's not really that bad at all, but again, it's just you do have to wait, and some of us aren't very good with waiting. So, what rating would I give this out of a scale of 5? Mainly because of the neck. Really, that's the only thing that keeps it from being nearly perfect. So, it's a 4.5 out of 5, which is a really, really good rating. I have a lot of confidence in this. Cleanly built, great sounding, attractive, good playing, or great playing, with the exception of perhaps needing a different profile neck. Beyond that, very, very, very good. All right, and before we go, just want to remind you, if you want to support the channel here, there are 3 things you can do. You can like the video, you can subscribe to the channel, and you can always buy me a cup of coffee at buymeacoffee.com/ukestuff to say thanks for making these resources. All right, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll be back soon with some more Uke stuff for you.